Oh, do sales matter again? Are we about to talk about the Xbox Series X and the PS5 sales along with the Nintendo Switch sales? Yep, we are, because for the longest time, that's something that a lot of people championed for years. And after that E3 showing from Xbox and the amount of games they announced, it's no surprise they outsold the Switch and the PS5 in the dollar count from June of last month. Let's get into the numbers and what it means for the gaming industry and for Sony and Xbox. Let's do this. Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by and checking out the video. Remember to hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support is greatly appreciated. And if you want to be notified on future content, make sure to hit that small little bell icon. It helps out the channel a lot. So let's just get right into this and talk about these sales, because for the longest time, people were shouting from the rooftops about how Sony had their gigantic sale numbers and they won every MPD every single month, and how this is what the industry looks at. Well, it looks like Xbox is taking the crown for the month of June of last month. You know, the month that had E3 and all these big shows that really mattered and showed what the gaming industry was working on for the last several years. Not to mention, Sony had one of their biggest games launched last month in Ratchet Clank. But you know what? Let's not talk about that, because it was all about E3. It's all about the hype and momentum that Xbox built for itself and leading into this next generation. And that's something that really helped them win June of last month. And I know a lot of people don't like hearing that, but it's the truth. Xbox has had this little thing coming towards them. It's called momentum. They've had a lot of games, a lot of news on them, and it's been a lot of positive talk. And it's something that the article mentions and talks about right here when it starts off. Here's what's said. Xbox Series X and S outsold Switch, PS5 in US dollar sales in June. If you thought Xbox was having a pretty good June in the wake of their promising E3 conference, well, that was reflected in how many people ran out to buy an Xbox shortly after. And PD is reporting that Xbox is breaking its own records and besting its competition. In June, the Xbox Series X and S combined to outsell both the Nintendo Switch and Sony's PS5 in terms of dollar sales. Dollar sales being how much actual cash they brought in, while unit sales are total units moved. Switch still won in unit sales. This is something we rarely see from Xbox, often a clear third place to its rivals, and this is reportedly Xbox's best June in its history, breaking the previous record from 2011. Again, Xbox never shares total sales anymore, and neither does the MPD. It only ranks stuff, but this is pretty significant all the same. Okay, so the first thing has to be about the E3 that Xbox put on. That conference that Xbox put really helped turn the tide in the gaming industry. The games, the announcements, and the amount of promise they showed this generation, and of course, Game Pass showed very well. I'm talking about this was one of their best, if not their best E3 showing I've seen in years, if not in their history. They made it about the games. That's all it was about. It was about them, the games, and Bethesda. That's all. Everybody talks about the consoles and the best thing that needs to be on there, and it's always about the games and how they perform on that console. You throw in Sony not putting on a show in June, and you can easily see why Xbox won. And to be honest, the state of play they put on is also very disappointing, and a lot of people really didn't find it all that intriguing. Now, I know that was in July, but it still holds water with the discussion, because Sony hasn't had a lot of positive news go their way as of late, which kind of sucks when you think about it, because I want great news from every publisher and console provider, because that means more great games for me, and it means more great positive content for me on my channel. But I have to mention that Sony did launch a great game in Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart in June, which surprises me, because that game had a lot of positive news surrounding it, yet it obviously wasn't the console seller some people said it would be. Now, as somebody that has played Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart and has beaten the game, I have to say I'm surprised that it didn't push that many consoles. I mean, the game was great, it was highly rated, it was made by Insomniac, who are great developers, and it just goes to show that sometimes some games aren't the console sellers people think. Sure, it has a lot of positive reviews, but again, I don't think Ratchet & Clank is that big banger that everybody thought it was going to be. Now, I think what console sales really are is the promise of the future. So when June came to a close, it was apparent that Xbox had a lot of promise in their future for the content that they were going to provide, which is momentum going their way. That was obvious after the E3 showing. Now, would that help console sales? Or would just having the consoles be available help even more? Well, that's exactly what the article mentions as reasons why Xbox won. Here's what the article says. 1. Availability. In the current state of the market, pretty much every modern day console is selling out either immediately or in a short amount of time. So simply, the ability to make and ship more units than your competition is a big factor here. Sure, it's possible maybe more people wanted PS5s than Xboxes, but if Sony couldn't produce them and Microsoft had higher output numbers, that could be a significant portion of the difference here. Now, availability, no matter the console provider, is the most important thing right now. Both the PS5 and the Xbox Series X consoles are selling like hotcakes. I mean, you still can't get one, and that's exactly what's happening right now. Xbox is able to produce a couple more consoles and probably is selling more than the PS5. But again, that's something that's been talked about every single month. When PS5 has one or Nintendo's one, every console provider has said, hey, we're selling out. It's just that we're getting units out there to people so they can grab. And that's what's happening with gamers. They're able to get their hands on a Series S or a Series X. Now, I know the Series S was out there a lot in June. A lot of people were able to grab one. Now, I think that smaller console was a big reason why Xbox won. But again, this was in dollar amounts. The Xbox Series S is $200 less. So they had to sell a ton of those units to get to that dollar amount they got to win the NPD. But this doesn't put down the momentum that Xbox has put together, and it's a huge reason why Xbox is selling so well, like the article mentions right here. Number 2, momentum. As I said, Xbox had a pretty stellar June. Xbox Game Pass has become such a good deal, its marketing campaign is now an internet meme. E3 showed off a large number of promising projects for Microsoft, with this fall in particular bringing massive titles like Forza and Halo Infinite, and Infinite in particular had a complete perception 180, showing off footage that looks infinitely better than we saw last year before its delay. Add to that the knowledge that tons of huge Bethesda games like Starfield are indeed going to be Xbox exclusive going forward, and many people decided maybe it was time to pull the trigger on Xbox for the long term at last. The best part about this is it mentions the games. That's the most important aspect of a console, the games and how they play on it. And Xbox had that front and center at this E3. It was no surprise they outsold the competition because it was all about the games. They had a couple executives walk out onto the stage at E3, but they talked for like what seemed like a minute or two, and then boom, game after game after game. And it was like that meme that was going around for years, hit after hit after hit. And that's exactly what Xbox did. They were throwing games like Halo Infinite looking awesome on there, especially after last year where they had the wall pop-ins and a couple other things that looked a little questionable. But Halo Infinite completely rebounded and did do a 180. Halo Infinite's coming out this year. Forza Horizon 5 was one of the best looking games I've ever seen. And that's what this whole thing is about. It's about Xbox showing games running on the Series X, running on PC, and telling everybody, hey, you can play this anywhere you want, how you want, and where you want. And I think this will continue into the generation because there's a lot of things Xbox hasn't announced or even talked about. The next few years are going to just build off of each other, especially since Xbox is not going for just console gamers. They're going for all sorts of gamers, all sorts of genres, and the device you want to be on will be Xbox. If you play on PC, Xbox Series X, xCloud, no matter what device you're on, or even if you're on a console, you're going to be on Xbox. It makes you an Xbox gamer. That's going to change the industry, and to be honest, it already has. You can see it far and wide. You can see it from the Stream Deck. You can see it from a bunch of other things coming with mobile gaming. Everybody wants to be on every device because that's the type of model you want to be on. You want to bring your games everywhere so you can make the most amount of money with the most amount of people using it. That's what Xbox is doing. They're making PC gaming easy and simple like Steam did years ago. They're making console gaming, again, easy and simple, not to mention they're bringing quality out. So of course they're selling like crazy. Bethesda, Xbox, all the first party games, which include Bethesda now, are going to be on the Xbox console. It's going to be on the Xbox for PC, and everybody's flocking to it because you know what? Games talk, and that's what people want. They want games, and Xbox is going to have a lot of games come out starting next week and moving on to the end of the year and going into next year. It's not going to stop, people. I feel like Xbox is going to bring out massive games, small games, AAA, AA, any type of game you think. It's going to be on Game Pass, it's going to be on the console, and it's going to be on PC, and it's going to be there for you to play on the Xbox ecosystem. And that's exactly why they're selling like crazy, because the future of Xbox looks extremely promising and people see that, so they're flocking to the console. But let me know what you think about these sale numbers. Are you surprised Xbox outsold the PS5? Will this continue as the generation goes on? Is the hardware availability the only reason this is happening? Will both Sony and Xbox go back and forth in sales for the next couple of months or as the generation goes on? Is this a surprise considering Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart launched in June? What does this say about Xbox Game Pass? Go down below and let me know. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and that like button to support us out the channel more than you know. And give me a follow on Twitter at Zalker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my latest videos. Plus, I love interacting with everyone there, so get on Twitter and let's talk about gaming. Also, follow me on Xbox Live. My gamertag is Zalker87, just like my channel name. See what games I'm playing, and let's compete in achievements for the month. So right now, I've been playing a lot of games. I've been playing on my Series X. I've been playing a lot of Valhalla on there. On my PC, I just beat Hive Busters. Man, that was such a great game. I love that DLC. I went through the whole thing with Shady, my buddy. We were going through that whole thing and almost got every single achievement on that DLC. Talk about a great quality DLC. I can't wait to see what the Coalition does. Plus, I've been playing Second Extinction. I've been playing just so many games. I beat Doom Eternal over the weekend. Yeah, I had a massive gaming weekend. I just went crazy. I think I have over 2,000 achievement points this month alone. So yeah, let me know what you're playing. Are you playing something on your Xbox, your PS5, your PC, or are you working on something else on mobile? Let me know down below, because that's what we're here for. It's to talk games. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later.